And here's the lineup for the Zurich Chess Challenge 2015. Played between February 13th and the 19th, 2015. I mean, look at this group. Vladimir Kramnik, former world champion. Getting a little bit older, but the guy is still sharper than hell. My buddy from the United States, Carl Nakamura, I believe number 6 now in the world. And Carl just come off a really big win and a really tough open in Gibraltar and played beautifully. Vishy Anand from India, former world champion, just lost his challenge to Magnus Carlsen last year, but they put Vishy out, and he won the candidates tournament to get into the finals against Carlsen and try to get his title back. So Vishy's far from gone. Fabiano Caruana, great player. Had a hell of a last year and a half. He's come a long way. He's one of the top players in the world. I believe he's number 2 now, Italian-American. Great player. Levin Aronian from Armenia. Levin's had a tough year or so. He's had a tough time, but I'll tell you what, don't think that he's lost any of his skills, because he's still a great player. And a good guy, too. And Sergei Karyakin, originally from Ukraine, now representing Russia. I haven't seen much of Karyakin lately, but I'll tell you, this guy was one of the top prodigies in the world, and he's still one of the best players in the world. Any one of these guys can win this. It's going to be a great tournament. Stay tuned for the games. And here are the standings after 2 rounds in the Zurich Chess Challenge 2015. Vishy Anand, old guys rule, tied with my buddy from the United States, Carl Nakamura, at 1.5 points. Kramnik with 1 point. Karyakin with 1 point. Caruana and Aronian with a 0.5 point only. Tough tournament so far for Caruana and Aronian, but especially for Aronian. My understanding is, after his round 2 game when he lost to Anand, he went out of the top 10 for the first time, and I can't even tell you how long I can remember when he hasn't been in the top 10. But he's a great player. He'll bounce back. And here are the standings after 2 rounds in the Zurich Chess Challenge 2015. Hi folks, John Cordisco back again. Wow. That was a hell of a game here, folks. Hell of a game. Vishy Anand, former world champion, is white from India, and Levin Aronian is black from Armenia. It's a hell of a game. The tiger from India isn't dead yet, folks. I do want to give a shout out to the people at Chess24. Macaulay Peterson and the people over at Chess24 were nice enough to give me permission to use some of their broadcast video. So I'm going to be showing a post-mortem on this game between Jan Gustafsson from Germany and Lawrence Trent from England. Oddly enough, I met both of those guys. I met Jan Gustafsson at the 2010 World Open at Valley Forge, Pennsylvania. I was catching a smoke outside. When I used to smoke, boy, it was hotter than hell. It was about 98 degrees Fahrenheit outside. And Lawrence Trent I met last year in Las Vegas at Millionaire Chess. So they're pretty good commentators. So I'm going to put that video on the end of this. Again, thanks to Chess24 for allowing that. So enough of my ramblings. Let's get to the game. D4, knight f6, c4, g6. Aronian is black, Anand is white. It's going to be a Grunfeld. Now, you'll notice the commentators right after this video mentioned Vishy did a lot of prep work on d4. Both World Championship matches, especially the last one. I think the top players are trying to avoid the Berlin lines, especially if you're white. So, Vishy, I'll tell you, he's still a great player. Don't let his loss of the World Championship even put a question on his ability. Knight f3, bishop g7, queen b3, d takes, queen takes, castles. Pretty standard stuff. Nothing really unusual so far. I did want to also mention, I'm going to put a link in the description to Chess24 website. For those of you that haven't played on or familiar with Chess24, it's a great site. So if you feel free to click on that and get the info for Chess24, it'll be in the description. E4 for Vishy, knight a6 for Aronian. Now, I've got the computer off screen, and there's three moves that are very close in the score. C6, I think is probably what I would do. Knight A6 is now number one, and knight B to D7. I think C6 is probably what I would do, just to control, get some control here. Knight A6, bishop E2, C5, which is really the whole point of knight A6 besides developing a piece. Pawn E6, castles, E takes, E takes. Okay, here we are. It's a game. Small advantage for white, nothing really unusual. We've got the now isolated D pawn for white. Rook E8, Rook D1, get some protection on your passed pawn. Bishop F5, D6, H6. I'm not so sure why H6, and also the computer says that was the last book move. It's on the list, lower on the list. Queen of D7 the computer likes the best. But it's hard, though, having your queen be the blockader for a passed pawn. H6, bishop E3, knight G4. Go right after that dark squared bishop immediately. The computer really likes bishop D3, queen D5. Let him have the bishop for some reason. But Vichy wanted no part of that. He's going to keep his dark squared bishop as long as he can. And it also helps protect the D6 pawn. If he had gone bishop to D3 with the computer suggested whatever is worth department, after bishop E6, queen F4, knight takes, F takes, C4. It's a little more of an even game. But I do have to say, though, in all fairness, this pawn coming up could help out his buddy here on D6. What to do, what to do, like I always say. I mean, look at this thing here. These guys are world-class players. Vichy's a former world champion. Like most of us, including myself, we're average players at best. Holy crap, is this complicated? And it is for me. I couldn't even know where to begin on this. So Levin decides bishop takes the knight. Now that was also the computer move. Now my understanding is spent a lot of time, and they go in a little more detail in the post-mortem with Jan Gustafsson and Lawrence Trent at the end of this video, but I guess he spent a long time, and Vichy was moving almost immediately, and they show a clip on this portion of the game right here. Rook D4. Now that seems like it loses a piece. Now the computer probably doesn't understand this position. This is all prep from Vichy and Anand. Actually, it has a tiny advantage for black. But frankly, I think black's on the razor's edge. One small slip and he's doomed. Vichy moves queen to B5, and you'll see later, he moves immediately. Now I want you to picture this now. Black is up a full piece, a knight. And he has less than a half-point advantage. Queen takes. Rook to A4. Now I'm not sure on the time problems. We're on move 18 now, and I'm sure that Levin Aronian as black is using a ton of time. D7, here comes that pawn. Now, meanwhile, back at the ranch, this is in pre. I mean, now you're threatening queen takes, and then pawn promotes. I mean, and then the bishop takes. I mean, there's stuff all over the place. How the hell are you supposed to keep track of this? Computer didn't like, for those of you that were wondering if he wanted to take the knight outright, after rook to B8, queen takes, rook to A8, queen takes, rook takes. It's 3 pawns for a piece. So it's kind of even in material, but the fact of the matter is, it's over point advantage for black. So taking that knight was not the way to go. After d7, and Vichy's still in his prep. Bishop e4, queen to b3, now hitting the rook. Vichy's still in his prep. And this is where Levin stumbles. Computer thinks rook to a5 is the only way to hold on. And under pressure, Aronian goes bishop c6. Very natural move. Attacks the pawn and protects the rook at the same time. But it loses. To give you an idea, the computer like rook to a5, that after knight d2, knight takes, king takes, rook b8, knight takes, rook takes queen, pawn takes, rook takes a1, rook takes, knight b8. And it's basically an even game. Black's going to eventually win the d7 pawn. That would be a hell of an endgame right there, but Levin went bishop c6. And now this is where I think Vichy, they said, was out of his prep. Rook to d6. White is basically down a piece, and he's up almost 3 points in score. That's how bad this position is for poor Aronian. Bishop takes, digs it deeper. c4 is what the computer liked, and after queen to d1 and knight b8 was the choices there. I mean, look at the choices that you're given. The choices are: you either get poked in the eye with a sharp stick, or you get poked in the eye with a dull stick. I mean, you know, I'll take the dull stick, but I think those choices still suck. Rook a to d1, he just doubles up. Those of you who are wondering if he had taken the bishop there after queen to d1, rook, it still sucks for black, but not nearly as much. But after rook a to d1, queen to b8, rook takes, queen takes, pawn takes, rook a2. I mean, this is horrible. Horrible for black. As my Latino friends say, que horrible. Wow. I mean, poor Levin. Bishop c4. Now you're pounding on the f7 pawn. You got to move the rook to f8. That's now out of play. Now he attacks the knight, and you're threatening the knight. And this pawn, because you can't take because of the bishop. It's just horrible. It's almost a 5-point advantage now for white. Poor Levin, he just can't bring himself to resign. King to g7. Here we go. Now white's up a piece. Rook takes f2. Maybe what else is he going to do? Computer thought maybe that rook takes, bishop takes, knight f6 was a small chance, but yeah, a small snowball in hell. Rook takes f2, rook to e1, and that's where Levin finally says, okay, that's enough. I resign. Great game by Vichy. Great game by Vichy. So, old guys aren't so bad. Kramnik's still top player. Anand still is there. And granted, this was his preparation, but even still, he had to remember it, number one, and figure it out, number two, before this. So hats off to Vichy. Poor Levin. Okay. Go back to the drawing board and gear up for round 3. But anyway, folks, that's my game of the day from the Zurich Chess Challenge 2015. I hope you enjoyed it. Again, I want to thank all my friends over at Chess24 for allowing me to show some of the video. So you'll see small ads, nothing really intrusive. And also look at the link in the description for Chess24 and check it out. And as I always say, if you think chess is just a game, you're not playing it right. Take care, folks. Bye-bye.
Goes for the concrete move knight to g4. Could argue about that. Very Grunfeldish way to play would be the move queen to b6 as well. Attacking the pawn on b2. After rook d2, let's say rook a d8. With a very different game. I always like white in these positions. He has more space. He has this dangerous pawn on d6. Things can go wrong for black. It's very move by move if black manages.
Yep, I agree with that. So he went, but he went knight g4, and this was really the start of his troubles, because after knight g4, well, white really, we say he only has one move. Of course, he can come back to c1, but he played the very tricky bishop f4, which, on the face of it, and my own personal opinion, Jan, is I think that Levon thought that Vichy actually blundered in this position. I'm going to stick by my instinct there. Because after the next move, he spent so long.
Very committal move.
Yeah.
He decided to take on c3, which is nothing you do on purely positional grounds. It is something you do in order to win material, which is probably what he thought was happening. I think we have video feed of him taking on c3. Let's take a look.
Let's have a look, yeah.
Levon Aronian, still confident early on in the game. And he's done it. Bishop takes c3.
Wow.
There we go. Let's see if Vichy blitzes out his next couple moves. This is exciting. B takes c, you don't have to think all that hard. I think he's still in preparation.
Yeah.
Else you don't do that and you don't react so
Do you think
calmly after
Levon
Bishop
thinks
c3.
he blunders? He blundered? No.
I don't know. No, probably not. Because these guys are very familiar with each other and they know if Vichy is in book or if he's not. See, he's blitzing out his moves. This is all home preparation.
So we saw him there take that knight off and play rook e4 straight away, ostensibly winning a piece, because there's no way to defend both bishops. But Vichy, very quickly, as we saw in that clip, played queen to b5.
And that's when you realize he probably hasn't blundered, right? When he banks out queen b5, you think, okay. But I personally don't think that Levon believed Vichy had blundered. I think he was probably still in book as well, trying to recall the analysis. We don't know for sure. What we do know is that Vichy Anand did not blunder.
He did not. And after rook takes bishop, so black has won a piece. But now the extraordinary queen takes b7, and suddenly black's got huge problems with his knight on a6. You have to defend that somehow. Rook a4 was definitely one of the top moves to consider. And now, after rook a4, just keep on pushing that pawn.
Yeah, Vichy said in the press conference that he had an old file which gave the move bishop takes a6 here, when black is winning after rook b8, queen c6, bishop to d7. He said that was his old file, but recently, he didn't specify, they revisited this with a modern machine. The modern machine immediately gave the move d7, and he obviously felt it was worth trying in the game.
Yeah.
Amazing position.
Yeah.
Just a piece down, you play d6, d7, ain't worry about nothing, but you do threaten, queen takes a8, and also you use this Kasparov technique, right? You cut the board in half.
Yeah. And it's a very powerful position. And here, black probably only has one move to stay on the board. Very difficult move to play, though, and that's the move knight to c7.
Actually, yeah, you have to calculate, but knight c7 is fairly natural because you stop the threat of queen takes a8 and you remove the knight from the danger zone. However, it becomes a mess. Anand gave a line which, if you haven't looked at this, is impossible to play over the board. h3, knight takes f2, king takes f2, bishop takes d7.
And bishop b5.
Bishop b5.
Wow.
But to play the move knight f2, it's very tough already. Something like this, of course, this is computer-assisted preparation, as Anand said. He knew all this stuff, and Levon Aronian could not recall his preparation. Queen d5, queen f8, and black should survive. That's one computer line. But Levon, after d7, he went for the move bishop to e4.
Yeah, which looks nice, but actually after the following full sequence, well, the queen has to drop back somewhere. Queen back to b3, hitting the rook. And now already things were looking ominous for Levon. Well, the next move was an out-and-out blunder, a losing move.
After the next move, the game is pretty much over.
Yeah.
He played the move bishop to c6. Might look natural, but it just doesn't work. Black's pieces are too stretched out, and they're being picked up. The only way to stay in the game, also mentioned by Anand, who knew this stuff, was the move rook to a5. Anand gave the line knight to d2. Bishop takes g2.
Just unbelievable. It's just unbelievable, this guy.
bishop takes g4. Don't ask us why bishop g2, but after knight d2, it's just too many pieces hanging once again. Knight c4 coming.
Ugh. Just a brutal game. Black is helpless.
Brutal preparation. Bishop g2, bishop g4, queen g5, knight c4. And white is better. That's just one of the lines that were still part of Vishy Anand's preparation to show you to what length he went here.
Just unbelievable.
Instead, in the game, bishop c6 was played.
Yeah, but that, unfortunately, is just a losing move, isn't it? And not much more commentary required after the next few moves, because after rook d6, everything is falling for black here. All of his pieces are just, they can't all be protected. And, well, Levon went down here without much of a fight. He took on d7. Maybe he could have tried rook b8, but it doesn't matter after queen d1.
Yeah, this is important though. Both rook b8 or c4 run into the move queen d1, which does not look that scary, but it just finishes the game. It defends the d7 pawn. Rook takes c6 is a threat. You just can't coordinate your pieces. Bishop f3, bishop f3. Now this is hanging, this is hanging. It's just nothing to do.
Yeah.
So Levon realized life wasn't that rosy. He took on d7. Just a quiet rook a d1 finishes the game, which is quite amazing. Black is a whole piece up, but he can't do anything because his army is dropping.
Yeah, just unbelievable. Great preparation by Vishy, and the next few moves, queen b8, well, okay, what else? And he just calculated it to the end, basically.
Not that hard, frankly.
No.
That's the games you want. If you're in book till here and all you have to find is rook to d6 and rook a d1, I could do that on a good day.
Even I could do that maybe on a very good day.
Very good day.
And that was that, really. And the ending is just finished because, again, can't cover all of his pieces. f7 is dropping.
Still equal material, but the difference in activity is just so great. Just look at this knight on a6. Nothing to do. Bishop c4 attacking. Rook f8. Multiple ways to win here. Anand chose the most precise. Rook d6. Similar double attack we've seen with the earlier rook d6, actually. Let's briefly show that if we find it here. Rook d6 we had earlier, threatening rook g6 and rook c6. And this comeback rook 7 d6 here just finishes the game.
Yeah.
Winning a piece. Levon could have resigned here with a clear conscience, made two more moves, played king g7, rook takes a6, rook f2. And now white is a piece up. Black had such a bad position, he had to give two pieces up just to survive a bit, but he did not really survive after rook e1. He actually resigned.
So a great win for Vishy, a much needed win for him, and on the live list, Levon Aronian drops out of the top 10, which is a shock for many, but shocked me when I heard about this. He's going through a pretty bad run of form. Vishy, well, he's hot and cold. He's going to take confidence from this game, though. Remember to join us for round 3 here at Chess24 from 3 o'clock. That's Central European time, 3 o'clock in the afternoon, not in the morning. And remember to check out all of the other features we have here on Chess24. Hope you have a great evening.